Enlightened World Network. Dr. Ruth Anderson here for New Month Numerology, and this is July 2024. Michele Landers is a board-certified life purpose coach, hypnotherapist, and professional numerologist. We adore Michele Landers here at Enlightened World Network, and if you are not familiar with her work, I cannot wait to share her with you today. Michele, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And I love doing this every month. And I appreciate you and I appreciate EWN so much. So blessings. So honestly, I did not want to do July. Sorry. I just didn't. It is it's such a mixed bag of energy. It's very intense. So this is the first thought that came to me. I have literally 9 pages of notes, 9, right? Which I don't think I'm going to go through all 9. But this is a thought that came up when I started thinking about July. And I put this in, on Facebook. There is a great disturbance in the force. And truly there is. So it's also interesting what I heard a psychic say this month that the spiritual plane or the spiritual realm, whatever, is meeting the material plane with a lot more intensity this month. And she used this word, and I just captured it because I said it kind of is in alignment with a lot of things that are going on. She said, it indicates like cataclysmic events. So I thought that was really interesting because for sure this month is a really mixed bag of highs and lows. So let's get into it. I love how the energy is mirrored in all things. And what I mean by that is, what did I mean by that? Okay, sorry. July is generally considered the most popular month for summer vacations, right? And by vacations, what I mean is rest and relaxation. So standing alone, July is the 7th calendar month. And in numerology, the number 7 is very spiritually inclined. It's kind of reclusive. It does invite us or asks us to rest and to relax and to go inward. And when it's operating in a positive way, it's really beautiful because it helps us to be discerning. It helps us to be a little analytical. It helps us to deepen our spiritual practice. And it also corresponds to the planet Neptune. And Neptune is very ethereal. It's kind of illusionary. It's good for reaching those higher realms, but it can be, as I said, illusionary or, you can't quite see things clearly. And that's just it. Things are not always crystal clear with Neptune. So what's the other side, though, of 7? Because everything, we know that we live in a dualistic environment. Everything has its positive attributes. Everything has its challenges. And it's our job as spiritual beings to always tap in or try as best we can to tap into the positive energies, whether that's astrologically or numerologically, emotionally. So the other side of 7 is what? Well, it can be sarcastic, it can be aloof, it can be suspicious, it can cause overthinking. So I think there's going to be a lot of that this month. And under the 7, sometimes we can be very susceptible to being deceived. So in the tarot, and I didn't have my cards out. Normally I show you the cards, but I'll just tell you about it. It corresponds to the Chariot. So the Chariot, the number 7 of the major arcana of the tarot, is associated with the sign of Cancer. And we are in Cancer season. The Chariot and the number 7 as well asks us, what are your values? Really, what are your values? Especially as a conscious spiritual being. I mean, really, can you with good conscience support something or do something that you know is morally or financially questionable, but are you a person that says, well, the end justifies the means? Well, that doesn't really work. And you can take that any way you want in this climate. So we can be very good at justifying doing the wrong things. And just as an example, which is an extreme example, but it's true, terrorists do it all the time. They raise their children to believe that as the United States is the infidel and that we are against God or Allah or whatever. So one of the important messages of July and the number 7 and the chariot is to be very conscious about what you are doing and the decisions that you're making. Now, the other side of this, of course, the chariot also represents our ability to overcome obstacles, which is a great thing this month because we may have some obstacles to overcome. And it also, again, has a lot to do with how we perceive things. And really, that's the whole of our spiritual life, is how do we perceive things? How do we see them? And that's a running theme right now, our ability to see things clearly. That's also mirrored in another tarot card for the month, but I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So all this energy is wrapped up in the number 7, but we need to get more info about the energy of the month in a couple of ways, numerologically, astrologically. So when we add the 7 to the number 8, which is the universal year vibration, all right, 8 and 7 is 15, then of course we've got to reduce 1 and 5, and what do we get? We get the number 6. So numerologically, we have the number 7, the number 15, and 6 that are all at play. So since I already talked about the number 7, I'm going to talk a little bit about the number 6 and the number 15. Now, the number 6 this month, it's about family ties, nurturing, having balance. We really, really need to tap into having balance this month because I think it's going to be very easy to be thrown off our axis by things that are happening. The 6 can also be very opinionated, and I have no doubt that opinions are going to be loud and flying back and forth all over the place this month. However, we do start the month off in Cancer season, and Cancer is a very nurturing and it's a caring sign. But as we get more towards the middle of the month and close to Leo season, which is around the 21st, the intensity is really building. So the 15, like all numbers, have a dual effect. On the positive side, the number 15 is individualistic, it's creative, it's nurturing. If it's not working in the positive side, it has the characteristics of the 15th card of the tarot, which is the Devil card. And there is another aspect that came up this month astrologically, but just remember that. So the Devil is about what? It's about bondage. It's about addiction. It's about being so obsessed or attached to a certain way of thinking that we're blinded to the truth. And we're going to see a lot of that this month. You know, people so attached to their ideas or their beliefs that it's crazy. And it can be rageful. And it's being blinded by our beliefs. But the other side of the Devil card, when you're working it, believe it or not, in the positive, it's about shining light on what's not right, what's not fair, on obstacles that are in our way. So when you reduce the number 15, what do? You get the number 6. So the number influence of the 6 tells us that love, home, family responsibilities, food, again, opinions, questions about our security, and I almost want to underline that for some reason, will be important issues. Even topics, issues, things about pets, somehow, I don't know how that's going to be in the mix, but that is part of the number 6. It can also bring falls from position. And I know I talked about that before. And I know sometimes these things, they're on point or on that timeline, but sometimes it could be a little before, a little bit after. Again, it's very loud, strong opinions, speaking out, confusion, a lot of anger. The negative 6, they're the martyr, they're suspicious, they're a perfectionist, they're jealous. That's another thing that came up this month. A lot of jealousy, a lot of greed, a lot of self-righteousness, possessiveness, and an inability to adjust to situations. On the other side, those 6 can be a very loving, nurturing, caring number. When you combine that with Cancer for this month, there can be some very, very good aspects. For those people who are aligned with the number 6 in a positive way and aligned with their higher energies, it should be pretty good. A lot of this stuff is going to be happening, obviously, on the world stage. So we have a lot of seismic activity going on. Again, crazy weather, again, hurricanes, which I just was shaking my head when I realized, which I knew there's going to be a lot of hurricanes this year, but they started already, which kind of blew me away. It's very unusual for us to have one this early. So we already know that we're having record heat, we're having flooding, and I'm thinking there's definitely going, we're going to hear about fires, and that has to do with the energy of Mars and a few other things, and volcanoes and earthquakes. California might be in line, not for the big ones. I didn't want everybody to freak out this month or next month. We'll have a distraction, and I don't want us to be distracted. That's really what I mean. Well, it seems like we can be distracted by what's going on, but we will also have the other side, which is a lot of enthusiasm having to do with the Summer Olympics. And I'm just hoping that all of that will really, go well, because again, we have some crazy energy. So I want to mention the date, July 15th, because that seems to be a very critical day. It has a lot of, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but it has a lot of astrologers, also talking about this date because of some really challenging energy. But I also want to point out, a lot of times when I talk about these things, it could be a couple of days before, it could be a couple of days after. That's how the energy is. Numerologically, it's a dualistic month, and we are navigating some really emotionally rocky waters. And I have a feeling that a lot of people are feeling this. So to stay in the flow, to stay positive, we just have to guard against being fearful or being self-righteous or being arrogant. Again, underneath this, we have the 7th of July, and that can allow us to tap into even more our intuition. It's very positive for that, and to have faith. So it's funny because the merging of the spiritual plane and the earth plane is just so appropriate. We're always attempting to do that. That's why we're here, but it's so appropriate for July. I also want to talk just for a few moments about the United States, okay? The United States was born in the sign of Cancer, and the USA is in an 8 month, an 8 Yeah, the USA is in an 8 month in a 1 year. So that tells me that something new is going on in the financial markets. And what I really don't know, but I would say there's somehow, on one hand, it's very positive for finances, but there's other things at work that are going to cause some disruptions. But at the USA's birthday, which is 3 days away on the 4th, the USA enters another very interesting transit with a very heavy emphasis on the number 5. So now and moving forward for the next year, there is going to be a continual and very loud emphasis on women's rights, on abortion rights, on children's rights. A 1 year that we're in, as far as the USA is concerned only, not the universal. It's very active, and of itself, it brings new beginnings. And we have an election year, which is so appropriate for new beginnings. But the 5 transit that we're entering is about spontaneous things happening. And what I just mentioned, it is fast moving. It's about children, women, pregnancy, coupled with this 2024. It's sure to bring unexpected happenings, heightened energy, risky energy, spontaneous happenings. So what's also very interesting is when this transit conjuncts the USA next year, we're going to be in a 2-year. That is an extraordinarily heavy emphasis on women, very heavy. It's a little early for me to see what that's all about, but I know that women are going to figure prominently next year. So I just wanted to talk about the USA really quickly. But let's get back to some of the astrological and other events that are happening. So between July 2nd and 7th, and this is a very nice transit, we have the Sirius gateway. So the magical Sirius gateway is activated during the first week of July. So we're just about in that now. It's the first. It's the strongest on the 4th of July. And it's believed that Sirius is home to an advanced alien race. It's very advanced technologically, very psychic. So this is a powerful star gateway that really, really can help us to raise our vibration, unlock higher wisdom. And if you're looking to step into a higher spiritual space, which I think that's kind of a silly question for anybody listening to this, but that this energy can really help you even more. Now, on the 2nd, tomorrow, we have Neptune retrograde in Pisces. Now, retrogrades, I always repeat, it's always about going back over things. And Neptune is illusionary and mystical and nebulous. So this transit invites us to ask the questions like, okay, what am I not seeing clearly? What have I missed? It can cause a kind of mass delusion, which I don't like, and it can also expose what might be, which is good, what's bubbling underneath. And Pisces, along with Pisces, well, Pisces is also very mystical and very sensitive. So we can use that day, tomorrow, also today, tomorrow, the next day, to dive deep into our spirituality. Maybe you take a little longer with your meditation practice. Maybe you spend a little more time alone. It also, from that, you can be inspired. You could have some really creative ideas, imaginative, creative ideas. It can allow us, if we understand the challenges of Neptune, to see answers and solutions rather than blocks and barriers. And I really was happy to hear that because I know there's some things that I have to see differently. But what's interesting about this transit is Neptune, not in Pisces, but it's going to remain in retrograde until December. So that should cause, it'd be interesting what's going to happen next month with that Neptune retrograde. So on the 3rd, Mercury enters Leo, and Mercury and Leo are opposing Pluto and Aquarius. It's very dramatic. It's very bold. We might hear some, people spewing things. It could be power struggles, battle of the mind, battle of ideas. Excuse me. It could be data breaches. It could be obsessing over things. So moving on to the 5th, we have a new moon in Cancer, and we know that those are always, and it conjuncts Venus in Cancer. So I love the 5th. I really do. It's nostalgic. It's loving. It's kind energy. It's about our home. It also can bring up issues about our security. It's a really good time to plant those metaphoric seeds. It's good for fresh starts. Topics around the home, around the country, around our personal security. And it asks the question, what do I need to feel personally secure? And that is, I think, a running theme this year anyway. Okay, let's skip to the 10th. All right, we have the Sun in Cancer trine Saturn. So that's all about taking responsibility, being accountable, facing situations that perhaps we didn't want to face. And this is a running theme, especially this month, is seeing things differently. On the 11th of July, it's a number 8. It's a very karmic day. And Venus is trining Neptune. On one hand, it can be very altruistic. It's helpful. It's also big. And with Leo, it's like pounding my chest. The other side of it is, look at me. It wants attention. It brings up power struggles. It's fiery. It has a lot of passion. That's what Leo is known for. On the 12th, we have Venus in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius still, right? Oh, no, that was Venus trine Neptune. So that day on the 12th, got to watch our egos. The energy there could be intense. It's all about control, power struggles on the world stage. I mean, we might be asking ourselves, do we feel like we're being controlled? And I think we all know the answer to that, but we have to be really careful. And also, are we trying to control a situation or a person? So that takes us to the firework part of the month, because as we go into the second half of the month, things really begin to heat up. And the 15th is looking like around the 15th, and around the 15th looks like it's a really, really pivotal day. The other thing I wanted to, I think it's around this time anyway. I just want to digress for a minute because I never heard about this star before. It's called Algol. And apparently Algol is a star. It's called the demon star. I don't like that at all, but mainly because of its mythical history, which to me sounds very like Medusa. And it's like off with their heads or off with your head. And it's happening 3 times. I think it's 3 times this year. So it happened, I think, a few months ago. We had it. We have it again. It's the energy of anger, jealousy, greed, vanity. It could bring up another sexual scandal, which I think is probably very likely. It does have to do with leadership. It has to do with falls from grace. It's has to do with politics unraveling in some way. So the Mars-Uranus conjunct, which I don't think I said, but Mars and Uranus is conjuncting Algol mid-July, could be very, very, very messy, but even more so that Mars, there's a Mars-Uranus, I don't like to say Uranus, but the 15th, a little before, a little bit after, we have a Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, and we got to really be careful personally and, on the world stage. It's shaking. It's a shaking energy. And that could be, literally having to do with earthquakes, and metaphorically, but it could be cyber attacks, electrical storms, electrical blackouts. It's just a challenging day. It's very powerful. Uranus is chaos. Mars is warlike. It's arguments. It's kind of tricky. It's very, very tricky. So it can be breakthrough energy too. And it's explosive energy, but you could take it in another direction and say, what needs to blow up? What needs to change? For us individually, I would say, just around mid-month, around that time, just be very careful. Take your time when you're doing things. Be very conscious of your environment. Pay attention. Okay, on the 18th, we have the Sun sextile Uranus. That's very insightful. It's unique. It's kind of quirky. So again, on the world stage and individually, it's good for expressing those unique ideas you have, or, just being a little bit out of the box. Okay, on the 20th, we have Mars enters Gemini. That's very chatty, because Gemini is chatty, but Mars gets fired up. And so that's pretty easy to interpret. It brings a lot of nervous tension. It can bring a feeling of intensity. Information and communication can be challenging. It's juggling more than one thing. What am I going to do? I got to do this. I have to do that. Be very careful, as always, of what you're hearing and what you're reading. Watch what you say and watch how you receive information. Okay, the flip side of that energy can be, if you're a writer or a speaker, the energy is pretty supportive for that, for writing, for speaking. On the 21st, we have Mercury in Leo square Uranus and Taurus. That is, Taurus is about our planet here. It's about security. It's about food, money, home. Taurus likes to be secure. We have Sun in Cancer, which is intuitive, at that point, we may have Sun in Leo at the 21st. But it trines Neptune. Neptune is blurry. And we have Mercury square Uranus. Yes, Mercury square Uranus in Taurus. So it's wanting to get people out in the streets and talking more, getting things done, more activity on a collective level. But it's also can be this misinformation, people getting carried away with it, crazy, excuse me, information about money, banking, stock market. It may be some really powerful data coming to us. And then I believe it's on the 21st. Yes, it is the full moon in Capricorn. And this is a blue moon. And a blue moon is simply because we had the moon in Capricorn, full moon in Capricorn last month. We have it again this month. So that creates a, blue moon. So that brings up the questions in Capricorn. It's aligning with your life. How do I advance my life? Examining our feelings, our relationships. It's also female versus male. The moon trines Neptune. It's a soulful attitude. It's, what do I need to fix in my life? Now, on the 22nd, okay, that's when a sun enters Leo. Sorry about that. But it enters Leo, it opposes Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is, well, we've talked about that. The sun is at home in Leo. So we've moved out of emotional Cancer and moved into fiery Leo. And you know, like I said a couple of minutes ago, Leo likes to pound its chest. It's royal. It's regal energy. And it's also bringing up, we want someone to look up to. That is another theme. We have this desire for clarity. We have this desire for direction, and that's going to be more evident or more apparent in July, and especially towards the end of the month. On the 23rd, we have an opposition, the Sun and Leo opposition of Pluto and Aquarius. Well, actually, that started on the 22nd. So it's about leaders. It brings challenging people, challenging issues. The Sun, that's male energy. It always wants to shine, especially in Leo. The energy is about me, and kind of stamping your feet. I want what I want. It's egocentric. It's controlling. It's a battle of wills. Egos are really heightened, okay? It's an energy that it is this very strong desire to control. You know, but Pluto and Aquarius, you know, I mean, Pluto asks us, you know, it's very, has a lot of control, but it's saying, hey, everyone should be equal. So this energy can create a real power struggle. Now on the 25th, we have Mercury entering Virgo. And what is Mercury? Mercury is the mind. Virgo is very specific. It's very organized. It's opinionated, but it's really good for digging in and getting answers and finding solutions. It's detailed. It's organized. So even though, you know, all of this energy is on the world stage, it's for all of us. And we can use that, the positive of this energy in our own life. So that would be a great day to get really organized, to say, okay, sit down, make your list. I'm going to do this, this, and this. That energy supports it, getting clarity. It's great for editing, for streamlining things. But since it's opinionated, we can count on hearing a lot of, you know, outspoken people as well. Okay, so at the end, we have the 26th, and I believe that's the start of the Summer Olympics, and we have Chiron retrograde in Aries, and that is about healing ourselves. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. It's a very reflective, maybe slowing down energy, even though Aries is pretty active, and it's going to be with us for a little while. So it just encourages us to be reflective, going back over any of our wounded feelings emotionally. So that kind of ties up the month. So as you can see, it's up and down. And as usual, how do you best get through these energies always is to, you know, up your spiritual practices, stay centered, stay in your heart, have faith, have belief, stay in your own lane. I always like to say that. But another thing, well, two things I want to emphasize is, yeah, just kind of fasten your seatbelts for the middle of the month, but also, you know, when you're on a spiritual, conscious spiritual path, we even start to get attached to that. Now, is that a bad thing? No, nothing is inherently bad, but what I mean is this: sometimes we get so attached to our beliefs, even our spiritual beliefs, that there is not any room for us looking at things differently. Like, hey, maybe I'm not so on the mark about that. So I would encourage people this month, besides the craziness going on, the reflective energy and challenging your beliefs are big this month. So stay centered, stay loving, um, stay as peaceful as you can, uh, stay centered, and you'll get through the month in one emotional and spiritual peace. So thank you, everybody. Have a great month.
I love that. So,
Just
couple thoughts come to mind, and one of them is that I can't actually change how we're viewing this, but here we go. Don't you love Zoom?
well, I do see you, if that means anything. So I see you.
Now we can both be seen.
Yeah.
Two thoughts come to mind when you said the spiritual plane is meeting the material world with great intensity. I can tell you that those of us at EWN have absolutely experienced that to be true right now.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
thank you for the validation on that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the messages that Terry Angel and I have been receiving in meditation goes along with your comment about challenging your beliefs. And it is to
Wow.
relax your barriers.
Right.
What what beliefs do you have about yourself, about your spirituality, about your relationships, about your health? I mean, challenge all of your beliefs, relax those barriers, and
Mm-hmm.
just open
Yeah.
up and just see what else might come to you this month. See what else you might want to incorporate into your belief system. Yes, thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's all as I began this. Uh, why am I at a loss for a word right now? Um, as I began this video today, I did say in the beginning that it's just such an interesting month, and there's we have to challenge what it is that we think. We're so sure about things at times, and I think it's always good to be, pliable, and just not think that I got that, I know that. Maybe not, maybe not. So yeah, that's interesting. But things are mirrored in one another all the time, right? Whether it's astrology or numerology or psychic readings, the people we meet, everything is a mirror for us, which is on one hand pretty like, what? And on the other hand, it's like, yeah, okay, that's great. That's, if you can tap into the beauty of it and the healing of it, then you're good. Because if you fight against it, a lot of times people will say to me, what do you mean they're a mirror for me? And I go, well, okay, well, we got to dig deep into that, and I'll explain it to you in a little more detail. But yeah, everything is a mirror for us. So I'm grateful that you and EWN is a mirror for me.
Well, it's an honor to be a mirror for you, for sure. Well, Michelle, thank you so much. And it's so funny because I can only think of maybe one other time in 3.5 years that you have said, I don't want to read this one out loud. And guess what? We lived through that one. So
We
it's all
did.
good. We're going to live through this one too.
And we will, without a doubt. We'll get through it.
Well, we will. And just a reminder that we are here to learn. That's why
Yeah.
we're here. So we've got lots of opportunities to learn here.
That's a great spin on it,
Yeah.
Ruth. That's, yeah, true. We have we have an opportunity to grow and learn this month. So, yes.
So thank you so much,
Thank you.
Michele. Friends, if you want to learn more about Michele Landers, where do they find you, Michele?
Go to my website. My name is Michele Landers, as you know, Michele1L, MichelleLanders.com. Very simple, and you can set up a free 15-minute consult with me to talk about pretty much anything that you would like. And I'm glad to offer that to anyone who might have some questions or concerns. So thank you.
And sign up for her newsletter because it's a beautiful newsletter. It
Thank
always has a
you.
lot of information on it. So
Oh, I do want to mention one more thing. I almost forgot. Thank you. If you're listening to this, I'm going to be doing a 4-week class with Terry Angel, and a lot of folks on EWN know Terry Angel, and we're doing the Think and Grow Rich program. And it's not just about financial abundance at all. It is very powerful. That book has been around for a long, long time. And if you go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter and you'll get more information about that. And if you're interested, very powerful. So that was it. Thank you.
excellent. Michele and Terry are a dynamic duo when they get together. So that would be a good class to take. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, Michele, thank you so much for today. And friends, thank you for being here. And Michele has promised to do this the first day of every month for the rest of the year. So if you want to know what's coming up, please join us on the first of the month. So take good care. God bless. We'll see you all soon.